Hey everyone, my name is Elanders Frazier. I'm coming to you today in association with Southwind Drum and Bugle Corps. I am currently in Pace, Florida, and I am a consultant around the area as well as the percussion caption head and arranger for Southwind Drum and Bugle Corps. Today we're going to be talking about traditional grip. Let's get started. So, you want to learn how to play traditional grip. There are a lot of people that want to learn how to play traditional grip. To be honest, it's one of the more common things that we see in marching percussion when it comes to playing a marching snare drum. Today I'm going to go over just a couple of tips and tricks that you can use as you get started on your method and way in terms of learning how to play traditional grip. First things first, we're going to start out with our stick here, okay? So traditional snare drum stick that we're using for the purposes of this demonstration is about 17 inches long, and this is typical of most marching snare drum sticks. What I typically start all of my performers with is we start with the left hand going to the butt of the stick, which is the tail end that is not the bead, and then we have the right hand going to the bead of the stick. And we have the stick cradled inside of both of our hands just as such. Once we've got that completed, then we're going to take the right hand and we're going to cut that stick in half. And I always think about cutting the stick in half, taking into account both the butt of the stick and the tip of the stick. A lot of the times you'll look at where the shoulder tapers off or right before the bead, and that might give you a different distance. So we want to add in this distance here as we're kind of cutting it in half with our hands here. All right. The next thing we're going to do is now cut the half in half, which gives you a total of 3/4 of the stick versus 1/4 of the stick. Now, there are a lot of school of thoughts to this. Some people move to 1/3 of the stick, which is a little bit further up, and then there are some people that move a little bit further back. The difference here gives you a certain amount of leverage on the stick. And I like to think of that leverage like a simple machine, meaning that it's like a slingshot. The more leverage that you've got, the faster that the stick can move in that direction. So we strive for about 1/4 of the stick, so taking that halfway and then cutting in half one more time. And now we've got that full length of the stick. So it's about 3/4 versus 1/4. Once I've got my hand here and I'm squeezing here with just the fat part of my hand, now I'm ready to start wrapping the fingers around the stick. So from here I'm going to connect the thumb to the first joint of the index finger, and you can see that right there. I'm connecting the thumb to the first joint of the index finger. Now I'm going to wrap my middle finger around the top of the stick. I'm going to place my ring finger, which is the finger right next to the pinky, right under the stick, and it's going to be on the cuticle. So the cuticle part of your hand is right here where the nail meets your finger. So I'm going to place that under, and then my pinky is going to tuck right in under there to give me a nice crisp wrapping around the stick. Now, right now I'm just cradling the stick so that we're not over squeezing. The next thing I want to look for is as I hold my hand up, I kind of want to be able to see a C. So you can kind of see if I'm looking back this way, I want to be able to see a C. So as my hand stays in there, and I'll do my 3/4 quarter again. As my hand stays wrapped around that stick, I want that nice comfortable C, and I want that thumb out. Now what that thumb out is going to do for us is when we get ready to actually start playing, that thumb's going to be facing up towards the sky. And with that facing up towards the sky, a lot of the times we're going to be able to, as we start rotating, get the max amount of rotation that we can get. When that thumb starts down, let's say facing downward here or back to the side, a lot of the times the stick is already at an angle that doesn't allow us to achieve maybe the maximum amount of wrist turn that we want to get. So that's why I turn that thumb up so that we try to get as much wrist turn as we can possibly get. Wrist turn correlates with the amount of sound that we're getting out of the drum from moment to moment. So we want to try to make sure we maximize wrist turn with our technique Regardless if there's variations, because there's more than one way to do it and a lot of different schools of thought behind it, we want to try to make sure that whatever we're choosing, we're maximizing that wrist turn so that we can get the maximum amount of sound out of the drum, or the sound out of the drum that's required by the music. That's very important. So now that I've got my left hand set up and ready to go, now I want to focus on what my right hand is doing. So my right hand is set up similar to match grip, and of course we're going to be doing a match grip video here soon that'll kind of break down everything, but for the purposes of this, just a little brief thing. From here, I start my pinky about 2.5 inches up from the bottom of the stick. And then from there, now I'm going to just roll the fingers up and wrap around the stick. So now, and then I'm going to place my thumb on the side of the stick opposite of where my index finger is. So I have my index finger, and you can see my little thumb. Hey guys. It's right here. I'm gonna place that on the opposite side. Now if I just left my hands here, it leaves an extremely large gap between my thumb and my index finger. You actually kind of want to close down that gap so that you've got a little bit more control over the stick. So I'm going to slide that thumb down, get it to about where it's even with my index finger. You can kind of see that now. Now it's kind of even with my index finger. And now that gap space that was there before has now been closed down. So starting with my thumb up, large gap space. When I slide my thumb down, now that gap space kind of closes down, which is beneficial for us. So now I've got my left hand and I've got my right hand. These two hands, once I put the beads together, I'm going to try to get those at a 90-degree angle. You can go a little bit closer, you can go, I wouldn't recommend going wider, but definitely the traditional way of playing puts our sticks at about a 90-degree angle so that we've got maximum potential of hitting the drum in the center of the head every single time, which is what we want for traditional playing. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you all is from the perspective if you're looking down at your hands. So from this angle, I've got my sticks in starting here. And notice, I want to try to recreate how my hands look and feel when the sticks are apart, even when they're together. So I've got my thumb back just about in line with my index finger. And then all I've done to get both sticks together in my left hand is I've opened up my index and my middle finger and dropped that other stick right inside of there to stay inside of that cradle. Now from here, I just simply bring my sticks out, and now I'm in my traditional grip where I'd like to be. Now, kind of looking at this grip, bringing back to the center of the head, this is that 90-degree angle that I was talking about earlier, where we try to get the sticks in the center of the head to try to get the most amount of sound that we can get out of the surface. And trying to recreate a similar sound from hand to hand. So trying to get that sound to sound the same can sometimes be a bit of a struggle if you don't have the correct grip around the stick, but also comes into the dynamics of how are we hitting the drum, how are we executing each stroke in terms of bead placement, and bead placement is where we are on the surface versus where the beads are striking the actual surface of the head. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this instructional video. Please feel free to share this with anyone that you think might need or benefit from this information. And please feel free to visit us at www.southwind.org for more information on how you can register for the 2021 DCI season. Please also visit my Instagram at elfsnare, ELFSNARE, for more tips, tricks, and I do quite a bit of chop outs on there as well. So you can definitely continue on your drumming journey by tuning in. Thanks for joining us, and see you on the next one.